Hi, hello, and welcome back to the Fierce Social Podcast. I'm so glad you're tuning in for today's episode. We are going to be diving into 4 common messaging mistakes that you could be making in your content that you are sharing on social media platforms, right? This is messaging mistakes, fairly common. And that's why I said they're fairly common, right? We all kind of come to them at one point or another. We might get really repetitive. We might get just kind of redundant in our messaging. We just slip into these little mistakes every once in a while. So it's very important that you are just on your game in the sense of, does this make sense? Am I speaking to my ideal customer? Am I talking to my ideal client, right? So let's just dive in. The very first mistake that I see quite often can actually be seen the most with beginners, but I actually was just speaking with a client and she had it in her mind that if she did it this way, it would be confusing. So the first mistake that I see often is you're making your content about you. Your content is not about you. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but when you're speaking about your business, your product, your offer, you are talking about, I'm so excited. This has done wonders for me. Here I am. I'm so awesome. And this is how it changed my life. And while some of those testimonies and social proof can be helpful, when you started out with me, your viewer is like instantly disengaged because here is like the honest truth. This is not personal. So please do not get offended when I say this, but people on social media are not there to get to know you. They actually could care less about you. They are primarily there to see what they can benefit from, whether that is a new recipe, a new way of saving on their taxes, or learning a new content strategy, right? They're there to educate themselves and they don't necessarily care who's delivering it. If they end up really liking the person who's delivering it, that's even better, right? It's all a part of the funnel. It's all a part of our system of, number one, sharing that valuable content that is ideal for our client, our customer, our dream clients, right? And they eventually will fall in love with us, but that quality content that serves them is what's going to hook them immediately. So when you start out with, this is how I overcame anxiety, that's so great. But imagine if this is how you can overcome anxiety. Okay, you got me hooked. Tell me more, right? Even with this podcast episode, I'm addressing the 4 common messaging mistakes that you could be making in your business. I will fully admit I have made all of these mistakes, which is why I'm telling you about them, which is why I'm trying to help you avoid them. But I didn't start out this conversation with, I made all these, this was me, this is blah, blah, blah. I started out with, these are messaging mistakes that you are making, right? It's addressing the person it's for, and it's talking about how you can fix them. And it's also kind of the same when you create your Instagram bio or even your bio anywhere, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever, when the most important thing that you want to remember is that your ideal client or customer needs to be able to identify themselves in your bio, right? So we talk about these I help statements, I teach, I coach, I do. And the reasons why these are helpful in a lot of ways when they're really specific is when I say in my own bio, it says, I coach female entrepreneurs. I help female entrepreneurs create a content strategy specific to their business, right? So I'm talking about a specific problem, which is content strategy for business owners, but then I'm also talking to the very specific person of a female business owner. So not just business owners in general, but female only, men, you're fine. Like I don't have a vendetta against you, but like me and the girls, like we are in a club together. So I'm just going to chill with the ladies, right? So no offense there, right? But I'm speaking to the female entrepreneur that is a business owner, right? That struggles with their content strategy specific to their business. Okay. So I'm speaking to a very specific person and they should be able to identify themselves in my bio, right? There was a time when we see like lifestyle bloggers that is applicable to them because their lifestyle blog on their Instagram is just that, right? And that primarily works with celebrities. But if you are a business owner, nobody really cares if you are a fur mom or you have like 6 kids, right? They might be super fascinated by it, but that's not going to be the thing that they're like, oh my gosh, I have 6 kids too. I mean, they very well connect with you on that. But what if they have 6 kids and then they don't have a business from which you serve? And that's the whole reason why you're on social media. Does that make sense? Right? So you want to get rid of the things that point it back to you and it doesn't put the emphasis and the focus on them. Okay. So the second common mistake is speaking too generally. You are not speaking to one person at a time. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. And it was just so popular. It was just the culture of being an influencer, right? But it was the influencers, like the little fashion, it girls, right? They're still alive and thriving doing their thing. But it pains me every time I get on somebody's stories and it says, hey guys, it's just me, sister. It's just me. I'm the only one watching your stories right now. There's not multiple of me. It might be me and Moses, it might be me and my dog, but it's not me and a group of people. So speak to one person at a time, especially in your stories. Yes, a couple hundred or maybe even thousands of people are watching your stories, but they're watching them one person at a time. And also make this applicable to your reels as well. So when I'm even recording, right, this podcast, I'm speaking to you, one person, one individual, okay? Even though multiple people listen to this episode or multiple people watch this on YouTube, I'm speaking to one person at a time because more likely than not, it's not multiple people behind a screen watching it all at once. It very well could be. It's like a movie premiere. Who's got the popcorn? Sign me up. Like invite me over anytime. But when is that actually happening? Probably not often. So make sure that you're speaking to one person at a time and make sure that that one person is your ideal client, right? You are speaking their language. And we're actually going to get into language specifically, not bad language, not like bad words or your actual language like English, Spanish, or whatnot. I'm not talking about that, but speak their language, meaning speak to them with empathy that you know exactly what they're struggling with because you've been there, done that, right? So for instance, my new focus, I'm so pumped for this and I 1000% attribute it to being pregnant. I've talked to so many other women that were pregnant and they're like, oh my God, I came up with the best ideas when I was pregnant. I was so clear. I was laser focused. I'm like, yeah, that's totally how I feel right now. So I'm really excited to share that I am launching what I believe and know to my core that this is going to be my signature program. Like this is going to be the creme de la creme of any offers that I ever create. I shouldn't say ever because who knows with the next pregnancy or, God willing, if that's in his plans for me to have more babies, but who knows what other ideas I might come up with this year while I'm pregnant. I just truly feel in my heart of hearts, this new program that I'm launching, it starts the week of February 6th. It's called Content That Converts. The biggest struggle that I've heard business owners that are in the same boat as me, they're fairly established, they're hitting six figures, if not seven figures a year. They have a solid client base, and now they're trying to tackle social media, and all of a sudden they're like red flag, stop signs all over the place, and they just like cannot seem to gain traction on social media. And that primarily is because they are not implementing a content strategy that's best for their business, their specific business, right? Content strategy is not cookie cutter. It's very much dependent on a few different things, which we will go over during this 12-week program. Again, starting the week of February 6th. So if you're listening to this episode when it airs and it's before that date and you're like, this is me, give this to me. I'm only taking 15 spots for this because that allows me to be way more high touch with every single person that's in there. Because by the end of this, I rarely say words like guarantee and promise the 12-week program is not going to be messy. Although, I don't know, I can't guarantee, but like the information, the knowledge, and the coaching is there, right? But I don't like to use definitive words like that, but I can guarantee, I'm just going to say it, like I'm going to be bold about it. By the end of these 12 weeks together, you are going to know exactly the content strategy that you should be implementing for your specific business. This is proven methods that I have done with past one-on-one clients that are thriving. But I just, yes. This program, it's going to be so good. So I guess what I'm getting back to my original thought and my original point of speaking to generally is I'm not speaking necessarily to the beginner business owner, even though the beginner business owner probably struggles with this. This is somebody that's going to need the data, the demographics, and a few years of foundational time and sales and information, right, about their business to then be able to move forward. If you have like a super strong business plan, then it's still going to attract those people that are right for it. But me speaking specifically, right, to my ideal clients' problems and their struggles and showing that I have empathy, meaning I have been there, done that. I know exactly what you're talking about. My clients have been there, done that, right? I was just telling you about my nonprofit client, right? I can speak your language because I have been there, done that. And if you can't speak that language, don't fake it because they're going to be able to tell the difference, right? And if you're speaking too generally, like very surface level or too broad, it's not going to hit home. So I really challenge you when you're creating your content or maybe you're scripting things out, make sure that it is landing to the ideal client that you want to have. This is actually something that I've recently learned for myself because I'm transitioning my own clientele to less of the beginner and more to the established business owner. Yes, I truly feel like my membership, the Fear Social Society membership, very much speaks to that beginner to intermediate business owner. Maybe they're starting out for the first time and they're just trying to figure out how to use effective strategies for social media for their business. And that's exactly what the FSS membership is for. Whom my coaching program is for is the established business owner that is looking to hone in on their content strategy. Like they got their business down. They know what their demographic is. They know what their goals are. They know what their revenue is and their data and their this and that. And that allows me to take that information, right? And then put it into this is what you need to do with your content, point blank. And then the rest of our time in the group coaching program. So you're not necessarily going to be learning something new every single week. It's going to be a lot of implementation and testing, right? This is going to be an active, that's why it's 12 weeks. So it allows us to have time to see what's working and what's not, and giving it the time to tell us so, right? So again, speaking really specific. If you are not trying to speak to the beginner, please do not give me a 5-step beginner's reel of, what you should do at the beginning of, no, don't do that, because all you're going to do is attract the beginner. And the other thing that I've also learned is offering, this is generally free for everybody and anybody can come, right? Speak specific to your ideal client and speak with empathy. It will land you clients so much faster. It'll land you those customers. It will result in sold out launches when you speak specifically. Okay. The third messaging mistake that I see is very similar to number 2, actually, is using industry lingo. I see this a lot, whether you are in a product-based industry or maybe you're in the service-based industry. One really good example that I have right off the bat is the makeup company, the direct sales company that I'm affiliated with. They call, certain products different names. So for instance, they will call foundation and concealer highlights, or brightening highlight and main highlight, right? That contour is contour, bronzer is bronzer. And then lip and cheeks are what the general public know as blushes. So if I were to start saying, oh, get your brightening highlight, get your main highlight to somebody who knows nothing about a highlight, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, why are you putting that all over your face when traditionally it's makeup jargon? So if you're not in the makeup industry, this is not gonna make any sense to you, but I'm gonna make more examples that are gonna make sense. But a highlight in the makeup industry, like the general makeup industry, is like this little shimmery product you put on the top of your cheekbones, right? So where the sunlight hits you, it like glows and it's beautiful. To the general public that do not know what highlights and lip and cheeks and illuminators are, it's going to like completely go over their head. So in the beginning, this is when we are just going to use well-known lingo. The other example that I can give you is when realtors start speaking realtor code and they're speaking to someone who's not in real estate. I'm like, what? Most of the time, I'm like, can you maybe dumb it down? So I highly recommend just staying away from industry lingo. People in your industry will understand, but if you're not trying to attract those in your industry, don't say it. Don't even mention it. Yes, it makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. You are educated. You are, right? It's going to land completely flat with your ideal market. Okay. It's going to just like, nope, it's not going to work. It's just going to go over their head. They're not going to know what you're talking about. Sorry to take this back to makeup, but this is just really common in the makeup industry. But even actually, I'll put it back to my city. The city that I currently live in is Milwaukee. Everybody in Milwaukee knows it as MKE, right? Somebody outside of the state would be like, I don't know what that is. Or makeup artist, an abbreviation for that is MUA, right? So if I were to use this in content creation and tie it back to that, when I throw up a post and when I intentionally put something up on social media, and then I use the hashtag Milwaukee MUA. People not in my industry are not going to know to search for MUA. The reason that this is coming to mind is I was in a workshop and somebody was talking, she's a makeup artist in her area. She does weddings and events, and she had made the abbreviation like, I'm just seeking other MUAs. And other people were like, what's an MUA? It was just one of those like, yeah, you can't use industry jargon to people that are not in the industry with you. But also if you're not trying to attract attract others in your same industry, then don't use it. However, if you are, then you absolutely want to use that industry lingo, right? That goes back to that really clear messaging of who are you talking to? Are you talking to the person that is in need of your makeup artistry services? Or is it somebody who is a makeup artist and wants to grow their business or to get more clients? Okay. Moving on to our final messaging mistake is number 4, and it's speaking too much to the assets of your program, your product, and not enough about the results, right? We tend to have it in our head. And honestly, I think some of us actually will fall victim to this. We think more is more. I was just talking to a member inside the Fierce Social Society membership about this, and it is a tactic to bring in new people. So what I'm talking about, what I did is instead of making everything in the framework for FSS, for the Fierce Social Society, the framework being all of the core modules, all of the core trainings with my proven strategies of using social media effectively for your business, instead of making them just like one giant thing, I actually separated them into separate modules that go a little bit deeper. So upon first glimpse, you're like, oh my gosh, look at all the stuff I'm getting, right? So you can speak to the assets, but if that's all you're doing is speaking to the deliverables that somebody's going to get and not to the results, again, your conversions are not necessarily going to be as high. People want to know that your product works. They want to know that your service is going to provide the outcome and the results that they want. They could probably care less, although I'm totally one of those people that get sucked into marketing and packaging and branding. I'm like, oh my God, that's the cutest packaging ever. I don't even care what's inside. That's so bad. That's these headphones. These headphones. I totally got sucked in. I don't need these. I did not need, no, I did. I needed these. These are just too cute. But I didn't really need these. I really didn't. But I totally got sucked into like the look and the aesthetic and that it's just so cute. And I totally fell victim of it. But at the end of the day, these dang headphones, they better give me crystal clear sounds. They better cancel all the noise outside of it when I want that feature to activate. They better, the buttons and the functionality better work, right? It better give me the outcome and the results that I'm seeking, because if they don't, I mean, how many of us have taken stuff back because you're like, this is not giving me the results that I want. The look of it is one thing that may bring you in, but the results and the transformation, that is what makes a raving fan, a repeat client, somebody who is just your biggest supporter and is telling everybody about your services. Well, I think that actually wraps it up really nicely. Good job getting clear messaging. You know what? I really hope I'm making myself laugh. I hope that I'm making you laugh at the same time. Please stick around because I have a feeling these podcast episodes are only going to get goofier and goofier. They're still like, I have to have a mission of making sure that they're valuable, but they just might also make you chuckle along the way. And you're going to hear this, a little bit at the end, but I would love it if you just could take a sec and leave a review, a rating of this show. It has been such a wild ride and I've really enjoyed it. And I love bringing you these podcasts every single week. So if you've enjoyed it, if it's blessed you in some way, and if you have suggestions for future episode titles or, subjects or guests that you would like me to have on the show, please send me a DM, but please take a sec. If you have it, leave a rating, leave a couple kind words. I so appreciate it because I read every single one of them. So with that, I hope that this episode was helpful. I also really hope that it made you laugh because it was a mess and it's fine. I will see you in the next episode. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.